We can all remember January 1st as a new year. That's what the rest of the country does. But we had our markers as well.
The traditional autumn New Year is a season of renewal rather than a specific day. Historically, this was a time to prepare fields for the coming summer rains, to grow crops of beans, squash, corn, melons, and other summer crops. These summer crops will then be harvested around the month of October. This was a joyous time as we knew our fields would yield plenty of food to feed ourselves and others around us. For the Akimarautam, because the Gila River provided a year-round source of water, the rain ceremonies were not practiced here as with our relatives to the south. Still, prayers for rain is an important part of our lives that continue today. The autumn New Year is often associated with the summer solstice.
And if our children can say, my people celebrate the new year, but it's in the summer, and we mark the date close to the summer solstice, that's the most important piece there. If we can keep this alive in our children, it'll go forward.
The solstice is when the sun reaches the highest point in the sky and is also the longest day of the year. This usually occurs between June 20th and June 22nd. During the time when the Hugam were residing here at Sivanvaki, they didn't have the luxury of the internet or phones to look up a calendar. They had to understand the environment by celestial observation. And by following the stars, that allowed them the ability to predict when the seasons were beginning and ending. This understanding was vital for survival out here in the Sonoran Desert. Living hundreds of years ago, some of your main priorities were farming and irrigating. If you were late in planting your fields, that could mean starvation for you and your family. What's neat about the summer solstice is when it starts to happen in Sivanvaki, there's a ray of sun that physically projects itself. It shines through the observation hole and will appear for about a few minutes. Told the people big rains were going to happen, the monsoons. It was also a time to harvest the baydach. There are many different perspectives on what's considered the start of the new year. That could be eating your first baydach or when the monsoons begin. It's truly amazing to think that all our people needed was the land and we follow its characteristics.
The autumn will keep track of important seasonal changes by watching where the sun rose in the east every morning. In certain areas, there are mountains that mark the most northern and southern points of sunrise. These mountains were commonly known as Tashkukiwatoak, or Sunstop Mountain. These mountains changed based on your location and where the sun would rise in the east.
Saguaro National Park did a very interesting study on the Hashin saguaro. They were recording the flowering patterns of the baydach, and what they found is when they bloom, they start on the east, then to the north, and then the west. They bloom counterclockwise. It's protocol when we do our traditional dances, or when we introduce ourselves in a group of people, we always do it counterclockwise. There isn't any other plant in the world that does this. We really can learn from our own environment, from plants, animals, and the stars.
Just be thankful for the rain and acknowledge our past and just keep doing it consistently, not just for ourselves, but for our children and our future.